Hey guys, and welcome back to Games Per Second. This is Winston, and we're going to be talking about a little indie game today by the name of A Short Hike, developed by Adam Robinson Yu. Just to put it out there, this is a review of the PC version, so technical aspects of the game will be referring to that, and not console versions. The game starts off with a bird named Claire in a car with her mother, driving her to what ends up being Hawk Peak Provincial Park, a small island park filled with other residents. There, she is staying with her Aunt May, who works as a ranger for the park. While there, Claire is waiting for an important phone call, but her aunt lets it be known that there is no reception at the park except for at the top of Hawk Peak. And that is where your adventure begins, as you take control of Claire on the quest to get up to Hawk Peak in order to receive this important phone call. The gameplay in this game is simple, and that is one of the reasons that it feels so good. You get dropped right into the game, and after the short beginning cutscene, you are immediately in control of Claire. As you walk around, there are NPCs to talk to along the way that will explain how to do certain movements in the game, like jumping, gliding, flying, and climbing. These interactions are cutesy and are said in a more personable way than press A to jump. Once you get all these things down, the world is your oyster. This is truly a mini open world experience, where you can go anywhere and do any little side quests you want, with nothing forcing you to move towards the game's end goal, but you'll find yourself making progress towards it anyways. Why is that? It's because the game is the perfect showcase of how to intuitively make progress in a game feel effortless and natural. Hawk Peak Provincial Park is based around the slow exponential incline of the mountain itself. As you explore the world, you gain more abilities and collect more things that will give you more and more of the mountain to explore. So as you continue to explore the areas around you, you are naturally also progressing towards the end of the game. Did you play a game of volleyball on the beach? Yes? Here, have this golden feather, which means you can fly one step higher than before, which means the top of the lighthouse that you couldn't get to before is now within your reach. You made it to the top of the lighthouse? Awesome! There's another feather there. And what is it you can see in the distance? Is that an NPC painting? Didn't you see them earlier on near the beach? I wonder how we got there. And so on and so forth. There is so much the game has to offer. One of the easiest ways to describe it is as a mini indie version of Breath of the Wild, where you can lose yourself in an open world and play for hours and hours, or you can say screw it, and just beeline it to the end of the game within 30 minutes, or 3 minutes, which I'll get into later. This brings us to the average playtime of the game. Casually, you can play through the game with some exploration along the way and beat it within 1 to 2 hours. I personally beat it in roughly an hour and 15 minutes, and that's with doing a couple side quests along the way. This might make you question whether or not the game is worth it, since an hour's length of playtime is quite short, even for an indie game. And this is where you have to question what you're looking for in a game. Length or depth? You can have an incredibly long RPG game that will last you hours, if not days, but the game functionally is very limiting. You grind, you level up, you beat bosses, you get equipment, you grind again, level up, hit a major story beat, meet another party member, grind again. This kind of game is easier to make long, and honestly can still be very enjoyable. I personally love playing RPGs, but the gameplay loop is very tight. A Short Hike is not a long game, but it is a deep one. Every area in this mini open world has something for you to collect or do. Whether it be a race against an NPC, collecting shells for an upgrade, fishing, or digging treasure, there is always something. As you progress through the game and do all these little side quests, you also gain items that have varying uses that opens you up to even more things to do. To put things into perspective, it takes roughly 3 times as long to 100% complete this game than it does to just beat it, according to howlongtobeat.com. There is no tight and set gameplay loop for this game. It creates a world, and you exist within it. Now, initially, I was not a big fan of the art style of this game. The pixelated style of the game is meant to tug at the heartstrings of people who have nostalgia for older handheld games, that had a similar look to them. There is the option to get rid of this effect and instead play with smooth and cleaner looking polygons. In both of these ways of playing, the game drops you into a beautiful, bright, and colorful world that is very well realized. If you take a still image from this game, pixelated or not, it would be hard to argue that it is not incredibly charming and pleasing to the eye. It looks like an interactive watercolored painting, fully realized in an indie developed game. It's not every day that an indie game can be described as breathtaking visually, but A Short Hike does not disappoint in that regard. Certain areas are so aesthetically pleasing, it really does make you wonder how such a small title could pull off a charming and cute style while also making it look so good. The music in A Short Hike is incredible. Full stop. I shouldn't even have to explain it, honestly. I will, but I shouldn't have to. Firstly, I'd like to give a very heartfelt thank you to Mark Sparling for creating the OST for the game. The easiest way for me to explain the music in this game is a mixture of the different town music in Wind Waker and pretty much any Animal Crossing music. Every track adds to the gentle and exploratory atmosphere of the game. It complements every aspect of the game while also knowing when to pull back and let the ambient sounds take the center stage. How can one listen to Beach Buds and not just feel happy? You can't, is the answer. It's impossible. It's not just the music in this game that is perfect and relaxing, but the overall sound design in the game is also spectacular. The crunch of your little bird feet against the ground, the sound of the running river, and the birds chirping in the background. Wait. This kind of brings to question, are there like non-anthropomorphic birds chirping? Or like, are these human-shaped birds making chirping sounds the whole time? Have only some birds gained human-like intelligence and features while others are left behind in some sort of cruel evolutionary joke, forever looking towards their human-like counterparts with envy, and the constant peaceful chirping is actually every bird wailing at the fact that they've been left behind, crying to the heavens asking why this has happened? Forever tormented by their fate through watching the human-like birds, walking amongst these other human-like creatures praying that maybe someday their great-great-grandchildren can evolve and walk among them, while their ancestors are slowly forgotten through the passage of time? Aside from that thought, the birds chirping in the background all give off an incredible, gentle, and relaxing feel. As mentioned, the game knows when to cut the music and let the sound of the environment take over. Because this is a game about a provincial park, this is a nice change when the background music fades out and is just you and the sound of nature around you. It does a great job of replicating the feeling of when you stop and enjoy the scenery on an actual hike. So, this is an indie developed PC game. There is not really that much to talk about in regards to the technical aspects of it all. It is available on other platforms, of which I understand run it at a pretty solid 60 frames per second, and it's the same here. The game occasionally drops frames, usually just a couple of frames when loading up new areas that have multiple objects in it that need to be rendered, but overall the pixelated art style of the game runs incredibly smoothly. The only thing to note is that if taken off the pixelated art style in the settings, the frame drops are a bit larger when the drops occur. Even so, they don't occur very often, and in my entire playthrough of the game, I only ever noticed a frame drop once at the very end of the game. Now, on screen, I'll show the game's recommended specs to run it for a few seconds before moving on. If I haven't made it clear already, I love this game. It is rare to find a game that just makes you feel good from the moment you start all the way to the very end. I would equate this game to comfort food, or rewatching your favorite movie, or anything where you just allow yourself to enjoy life and what is going on around you. I am a huge Animal Crossing lover, and I would say that if Animal Crossing had an open world adventure game, this would pretty much be it. Of course, this isn't a game just for people who like having a relaxing time. There are many ways to play open world games, thus the term open world, so anyone can play in whatever style suits them. You can play as slow-paced and methodically as you'd like, or you can try and quickly go through everything you need to get to the top. There is no wrong way to play. In reference to that, while making this review, I looked into what a speedrun of a short hike looks like, and it is incredibly impressive how streamlined of a path they have made. As of today, the current fastest run is 2 minutes, 33 seconds, and 128 milliseconds, by a French speedrunner who goes by the name Hamb. It is a crazy run, and I would recommend checking it out if and after you've completed the game. So what rating would I give this game? It should be no surprise that I highly recommend a short hike. And honestly, I would say that no matter what kind of genre of game you prefer yourself, there is enjoyment to be had in this game for everyone. If you've got the money to spare, I recommend going and buying this game right now. You'll thank me. Anyways, that's it for this review of A Short Hike. Have you played the game? Do you agree with my rating? We'd love to hear your perspective in the comments below. Please leave a like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell if you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time.